I've been ready from the jump. Tell me anything, but never tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm on. You can bet I've been above. You can never see me like I'm John. Seen it with a song. Yeah, we kicking in the whip, boy, then boom, boom. Invisible like Bitcoin, but all around we taking over the world. I'm making home with the girl, head to tail like a flip coin. You can take it how you want. I've been up having fun. Yeah, baby, this ain't a disjoint. I ain't famous, I'm a boss. I've been up stacking sauce. Do you share the hit, boy?
What's up, everybody? My name is Clue. This is the Kent Farm Podcast. I'm here with Ash. We got some of the other boys joining us, but for the moment, it's just us. Ash, how you doing?
Oh man, hey dude, not bad. Pretty
That's-
crazy week. I just feel like every week there's always like some crazy stuff to go over. So
Oh yeah,
very keen for this week. We got a lot to discuss.
absolutely.
Hey Zach.
I just want to shout out to Zach because he did send me a message today that the top 3 albums that he's listening to at the moment, the second one was Zack Snyder's Justice League soundtrack, and the third one was the Clue EP, as seen on TV. So I appreciate that, Zach. You absolute legend. I am honored that you're bumping it that much. So, Ash, what are you doing? Why aren't you bumping the tunes?
Whoever said I wasn't? I'm just
Fair.
the silent fair type. I do it at my pace. For example, my new favorite treadmill song is at the Speed Force.
Oh yeah.
It's funny how I can run extra longer when I listen to that song.
Is,
funny how that works.
It is a good tune. Like it's an absolute vibe. Like listening to at the speed of force. Like it gets to that one bit where everything starts to happen in the film, and it's like, oh, this is it. You get the stank face going just from that alone.
Yep, pretty much. And you get choked up, and people like go, "Why are you crying?" It's like, "Oh, I'm not crying. It's sweat."
Yeah, exactly. I'm just running hard.
It's funny how it pushes you. Usually, I'm like dead within a minute of sprinting. It's like, "Oh man, extra 3 minutes. Let's go."
Well, me personally, a few years ago, I took a rap song called That Part and remixed it to Dad Bod because I was singing it one day.
Hey.
And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, said, "Did you just say Dad Bod?" And I said, "No, I didn't, but that's a great idea for a song." And it sort of became a fan favorite. So it's always the one that I play whenever I do a show, everyone's sort of yelling out, and that's a good crowd breaker if people haven't heard of me. That's a lot of fun playing that one. But I've been working out pretty hard, so losing the Dad Bod, and I think a lot of my fans are going to be devastated.
Oh.
Oh man. So look, we're waiting on Tony to jump in. John is a maybe today, and Marty, as every week, is a maybe. But we've got a bit to discuss, so we'll hold off. We'll just chat for a little bit. Let's chat about last week with Enosh from Poindexter Lounge. That was a fun time. Like I was ready to go after the first hour, and then Enosh wanted to jump in, and I thought, all right, let's kick on for another hour. And it was just a lot of fun. You know, we barely even really chatted about the movies or anything like that. But it's always good to get to know people and be able to experience that. So how did you find that?
Oh, it was awesome, man. I've been a big fan of Enosh's for quite a few months now.
Yeah.
I love to listen to his streams, especially on the weekends, because he goes hard, man. Like he goes till like 5 a.m. in the morning and longer. I've always been a big fan of Enosh. It was great to finally meet him.
He's a good bloke, and it was really nice of him to jump on. I'd love to do that again. I think
for sure.
I think we definitely should.
Absolutely.
So we've got obviously normally I would have set this for a schedule, but it's been a long day and I didn't get a chance.
There is a lot to process. I feel you. Work was pretty crazy myself. I almost didn't realize. It took until I actually finished work to realize, oh, I'm free. Just craziness.
Yeah, and we're sort of able to push through it. So I'm just looking over our list of info that we want to chat about tonight. I'm just trying to think, is there anything maybe to jump in with that Tony we could avoid. I mean, let's start with the Venom trailer. Did you see
Let's
the Venom
talk about
trailer?
it. I have, and I've got to be honest. There were a few moments I liked, but to be honest with you, I really wasn't that impressed with it. I actually managed to see it, I think, within minutes when it actually came out.
So I guess on that, is Venom something that you're interested in? Did you like the first movie?
It's a good question. So it's funny, right? Because I was pretty keen on the idea of the first Venom movie. I knew going in that it wasn't obviously connected to MCU Spidey. So that was interesting because that was 2018. So that was kind of a bit before we got Joker. So that was kind of Marvel kind of, I guess, they'd had their first kind of Elseworld story. Look, I didn't mind it. Some of the acting was a bit average, to be honest, or should we say less than average. But for me, the most interesting part about Venom is critically, it did pretty shit. But box office wise, I think it made nearly from maybe about 800 mil from memory. Like it did pretty damn well.
I don't believe that.
Google it. I swear it did around 800K, or it did somewhere around there. It did
856 mil.
Boom. Yep.
Man, that is way bigger than I was expecting.
Yeah, and then
I was not expecting near that.
And then beautiful 29% Rotten Tomatoes. So but screw Rotten Tomatoes still. But
for me, I actually really liked Venom. I had a lot of fun with it. I remember walking out of the cinema, and Renee had liked it, I liked it, and I remember saying to her, "I reckon I'll buy that on 4K."
Nice.
That was to judge how I enjoyed it. I felt like I walked out of the cinema, and
that's how you know.
And I have, and I haven't watched it since. So that's one that I'd like to watch again. Not from lack of for any reason in particular, other than I tend to watch a lot of television shows, so I don't watch a lot of movies, unless I'm going out of my way to watch movies. Like at the moment, we're making our way through the Harry Potter movies again. So
awesome.
We're just doing that. So, but I really liked Venom. The one thing that I did say in the group chat earlier, and I stand by, is that when introduced, Cletus Cassidy in the first Venom movie looked like fucking Ronald McDonald. He had the full red-headed afro.
Yes.
Now, in this trailer, they straightened his hair or some shit. What is that about? Like, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, give me Carnage as Ronald McDonald.
Yep.
I'm here for it. Woody Harrelson, Ronald McDonald. So that was a little disappointing for me. And I know it sounds like a joke, but I liked the look in 2018. I specifically remember liking the look and thinking, cool, can't wait to see it again.
Liked it
so
too.
when I watched the trailer, I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
This isn't what he looked like previously, is it? No,
absolutely not. And is it known the time difference between the two movies? Are we talking like maybe like half a year? Is that known?
I don't know that it is, but it feels distant. Like, I don't know, but looking at the video, or the trailer, like the integration with the symbiote, like it seems in a much stronger position than it was by the end of the last movie. So I would say that there's a significant gap. I won't tear it too much apart. What I, as a fan, am hoping is that we get Carnage by Eminem.
Absolutely.
If we don't get Carnage by Eminem, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yes,
because one of my favorite parts about the Venom movie was just Venom. One
of my faves.
No one hit him.
No, what?
With the Venom.
It's an absolute classic.
His bars in that song are actually really, really cool, particularly the last bit. It's like, if I'm the music that you grew up listening to, then I'm the villain that your parents warned you about, or something like that. But he's like, he goes, you marvel that Eddie Brock is you, but I'm the suit. Like, And there's this whole like Eddie Brock sequence that I really, really quite like in that song. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
So yeah, bring
Yeah.
on Carnage. And I know M
For
is
sure.
actually like he's a big Marvel fan. He's always been a massive Marvel fan. Like even when for someone who doesn't personally talk much, Eminem tweeted at Netflix having a go at them for canceling Daredevil. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
No, for canceling the Punisher.
That's the one. Yeah, it was the Punisher. Yeah,
which makes sense because I don't know if you're aware of I think it was a run of 6 Eminem and the Punisher comics, where the Punisher is trying to kill someone at an Eminem concert, and then M ends up joining in. I think that's
great. That's
I think it was like a run of 6, which I think is really cool. So yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome. But what I'll just quickly say was, honestly, like for what it's worth, I definitely preferred the 2018 like solo Venom movie over what we got in Spider-Man 3 back in 2007.
With Topher Grace, Eric Foreman.
Yeah.
Tony.
Hey. Venom.
How we doing? Oh, what's going on with your audio there, my dude? Clean yourself up.
Those clues. Glorious sing voice entered temporarily there. I heard that.
Tony, it's like, we're hearing you, but it's like at a distance. So I don't know what's going on here.
It's like our first stream all over again.
Yeah. Back at it. Oh, why is it always you, Tony?
This is why I upgraded from this crap to this.
True.
Living example, Tony.
You sort your audio out, and we'll keep chatting, so as not to bore the viewers with technical difficulties.
I guess for you, Clue, what are you I guess most like hoping to see out of Carnage?
Truthfully, I'm not a massive Marvel fan of the comics, so for me, I know very minimal about Carnage, which leads me to being fairly open to anything. So I'm pretty open. I'd like to learn a bit more, which I hope is what the film does. It helps explain who Carnage is a little more. I think it was interesting. I don't know, like, does it seem to me, just based on the trailer, that we're not going to see, like, I thought there was some involvement in Carnage from the initial meeting at the end of the last movie, but it looks like he's not going to gain the Carnage symbiote until later.
Yeah, because based on the trailer, it all happened so quickly, but from what I've seen, so it seemed to be almost like the symbiote was being injected in some kind of liquid form into him.
I thought it was the opposite. They were trying to kill him, and then the symbiote blocked the chemicals.
Blocks it. It happened so fast, so I obviously probably overlooked it, but at first it looks like, it's his execution scene, but look, that would make sense. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I thought that's what had happened. But Tony, do we have you working again?
I think I'm good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, we got you. There we go. So talking the Venom 2 trailer, as always, Tony's got a little bit to say on the Marvel side of things. So I'd love to hear. Coming off watching the Venom trailer today, where are you at? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think in the chat I was like, someone asked, "Did you like Venom?" And I was like, to be honest, I fell asleep in the cinema the first time.
That was me. I asked if you liked it.
Yeah. I was like, look, to be honest, it was a late session after work, and I was like, oh no, I missed all the good parts. And then I rewatched it again, and I realized, there's no good parts in that movie, to be honest. I don't know. It just looks like more of the same, to be honest. It looks a little bit like obviously they've gone for making it funny and crass and more about like eating people and whatnot. Just, I don't know. Doesn't feel like there's any motive to the characters. It just feels like it'll be a comedy with this IP, which is kind of similar to what Joker was. It's like a separate movie with Joker IP, whereas this is like a funny movie with Marvel IP. So it's like, rather than kind of utilizing and kind of bastardizing all these kinds of, historical kind of source material, why don't you just make something that's true to kind of what is in the comics and just, stop fucking around with this franchise building. Just make a good story. And, I'm open to it maybe, but just from the cheesy dialogue, like, I've missed you so much. Like, come on. If that's how kind of thin the plot is going to be, because it's like this guy visited this other guy in the jail cell once, and that's enough motive for him to hate. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't care too much about it, but I'll probably end up watching it at some point. And then,
of course, and that's the thing with all these comic book movies, isn't it? It's like, it's definitely something that, regardless, we tend to just watch them because it's characters that we like, stories that we like on screen, and how they play out. You still want to see how that plays out, regardless.
Yeah, I was like just dreaming of a Venom kind of cameo when we were watching Garfield's Spider-Man. It was all I wanted to see. It's like, all right, we've gone through Lizard.
It definitely
we've
fits the form there, yeah.
It would be great because they did have a little bit of that comical kind of sense to them. They were a little bit. Well, I think the Lizard is the most kind of self-serious kind of
aspect
villain
of it.
Yeah, and then they moved into whatever Electro was and Green Goblin. So, but yeah, it would fit. It would fit if they would do it, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, not with Garfield at this point. Will they? It's definitely not going to happen there, I don't think. I reckon if they're going to do anything, they'll bring in Tom Holland, but again, how likely that is.
It seems Morbius may be more likely, right? I've heard, isn't there talks that Morbius is supposed to be in the same universe as Venom?
Yeah,
the trailer, Easter egg.
And then if that's the case, there's the fact that obviously we've got Michael Keaton in the trailer as well. So if that's the case, that then links it to Spider-Man. So look, it's I think it's definitely possible, but there's a lot of mucking around that needs to be done in order to achieve it. And I think that's what complicates things with the deals between Sony and Marvel. It's like, yeah, you can cover it for Spider-Man, but then extended characters beyond that, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I know
they're really tying their hands with that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, the fans know best in some situations, and people think, it's just all this fan casting, just let the professionals do what they're good at, or the writers and script. But like, when you think about what we've actually seen, it's like the fans have a right to judge this and have an opinion on it and criticize it, because they have fucked up so many times with this character.
Talking about DC too, though.
Oh, it's also that, yeah. I mean,
going down that rabbit hole.
How many goes do studios need? How many chances?
Before,
we saw the MonsterVerse fail, Spider-Man and all that universe, Sinister Six fail, the Sonyverse fail, then X-Men do their thing, no, fail. So it's like, oh my goodness, I'm just, it's.
I look, I definitely agree with that, and I'm torn with Marvel. I'm really torn at this point, but at the same time, I reckon they're doing a better job at actually listening to their fans than DC. So, like, if this doesn't do well and it doesn't hit 850 mil, that's right. I don't know if you saw the previous discussion, Tony, but we were discussing that 850 mil is what Venom earned.
Yeah.
I did not realize that was the case.
Big numbers, but you think about Transformers, all those things, big monsters in the Asian markets, in the overseas markets.
Yeah.
Venom, like Joker, big villain thing, also did big numbers without its main hero, just antagonist stories. That surprising. Suicide Squad, big numbers for a bunch of villains. The whole format, I think, more than anything, it was a little bit of curiosity, and I really doubt. I don't know. We'll see, but I don't think. Besides the COVID factor, box office wise, I don't think this touches it at all. Critically, money wise, it can't really. But
well, yeah, it won't now because of COVID. But actually, I want to touch on that. Talking on the Asian markets, as you were saying, China moving into Zack Snyder's Justice League. China has come through with like 250 million views in the last week. Like
320 in total. What the fuck?
I mean,
glorious.
And this is from the same company trying to say that in the first weekend, Warner Brothers is trying to say that the first weekend Zack Snyder's Justice League did 1.8 million in America, despite like server crashes and stuff. And then, look, I know there's a lot of people in China. I get that. And that's why Zack was pushing for it to come out there. And that's why Warner Brothers was going, yeah, we'll get to it eventually. And trying to dull it down on piracy. But holy crap, like, that's huge. And apparently outdone Avengers.
Really?
Already. I swear I read something about Endgame having 240 million and Zack Snyder's Justice League having topped 250 already. But
I mean, you've got to do some real mental gymnastics now to kind of figure out with scaling what it could have been if it was released theatrically in a climate where, we weren't living in today's, whatever, but isn't it?
Yeah. So
is it really?
I
don't know.
I think it might be. I think it's just topped already in the last week.
Oh.
Topped and look, I'm not surprised because Aquaman did huge numbers there. I was tracking Aquaman before it came. I was in America at the time. It hadn't quite come out in the States yet because it was coming out Christmas Day there. It came out like a week and a half early or something in China, and I watched it every day. And it made 300 million in China the first week before. So when something hits in China, it hits, and they loved Aquaman. So I'm not surprised that another opportunity to see more of Aquaman has done well. But it's also like they know, they definitely know that that's the case, and that's why Warner Brothers shut it down. So I just want to go to some actual footage that I just found of Toby Emmerich getting the message saying that Zack Snyder's Justice League is the most successful movie in China. I found some actual footage.
Here we go.
Hello. Toby ain't happy. Toby ain't happy. And you know what? Shout out to whoever found that clip. Doug Ellen. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's really.
Hello.
I could watch that clip all day.
I could watch that all day too.
I mean, there is another one directly after that that I might have to find and also plays in because it gets pretty hectic the way that Toby was acting. So I'll find that and let everybody know. So I'm looking for these.
Up until these numbers showed and popped up, in that whole little period where we were like, okay, are they going to release the numbers? And then anything that did release was like a very skewed analytic with a very, very minute kind of window to kind of pump everything else up. If I didn't know any better, everything I saw would have led me to believe that Wonder Woman 84 was more of a success critically and viewership wise. Justice League as well. That's everything that's come out of the mouths of every blogger and every website and everything that I've seen up until that China stat. So they I don't know who they're paying off. I don't know who they're kind of trying to tell to kind of.
I don't know, and
something.
you wonder how the investors can look at this and go, "Yeah, that seems legit." Like how they're twisting it. And I think like I'm hearing lots of different rumors, and I don't know how legit half of it is, but like hearing that, and I think it's a lot of connecting the dots that they want Toby gone now. Warner Brothers doesn't want Toby Emmerich there, and that you can connect the dots by the information that he's trying to reach out to Netflix. Recently, and Netflix is like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Again, this is some footage of Toby after he got the information that Netflix didn't want him.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember that.
Spat that out. Fuck.
I just rewatched Entourage recently all the way through again. It's just so good. But that was when Terrence comes back and takes over the company from Ari, and then takes his company car, and his phone stops working, and that's when he pegs the phone.
I need to watch that again. So good.
Speaking of, really quick, I read something really funny the other day. Apparently, Jeff Johns was having a bitch fit, apparently because he wasn't able to park in special car spaces. Did you guys hear about that?
I'm not surprised.
Where in the offices?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, like in like the office, like car parks, probably at WB headquarters. Yeah.
And he's bitching about it.
My name's Jeff Johns. I wrote Green Lantern.
Some serious devout soldiers that will, within DC, that will do anything for him and back him up regardless. I don't think it's exclusively like Emmerich, Jeff Johns. There's a lot of voices within that business that are probably not on board at all with what Zack's doing, just because they have their own egos and they think their own interpretations are better, and it's like a threat to their kind of interpretation.
I would agree, but I also think that at the end of the day, there's a few ways that it could happen. You chop the head off and two more arrive, or you chop the head off and the body falls. And I think I'd like to think that you get rid of Toby Emmerich and the problem's gone by now. Now, I think Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada are now going to be harder to convince given everything, because I think that they've planted their feet. But I think Toby is at the head of that, and I reckon with a nice booting to somewhere where nobody wants him, then get rid of him. I think it's more likely that Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada go, hold on a moment. Despite the toxic fan base, it's still a fan base that wants to spend money with us. So I think a lot of it is that at the moment. I reckon with him gone, it may not be 100%, but it's definitely much more likely to happen.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what way, like this whole shopping Emmerich over to Netflix to create the demand and the kind of illusion of the demand amongst whatever turmoil is going on within DC. It's interesting because, like you said, we do have Sarnoff that's kind of happy to cut and claim and gaslight everybody by saying that trilogy is complete. Hamada, playing his roles within the kind of what happened before with all the allegations and trying to cover it up and whatnot. There's a lot of heads within there that are going to have to change.
So I guess
what?
No, go on.
From what Grace was saying in her video, apparently about how if Emmerich was to leave, it would just kind of it's more incentive to say that the door is open for a Snyderverse potentially to continue.
Yeah.
But if he was to leave, there's not really much that's on the table at the moment that would cease to exist, really, because we don't really know. We don't really know what's on
doing
the table.
anything. Yeah.
Like she claimed he plays defensive and reactive as to whatever else is going on. So
I don't know if you've been paying attention, but that is 100% true. Like, reactive is the perfect word because he ain't done anything that was, forward thinking. In fact, Zack did a bunch that was forward thinking, and he reacted by saying, "No, I don't think that's a good idea," and then probably regretted doing that and blamed Zack. So, yeah.
Well,
to which
we all,
we all just look at Toby Emmerich like,
"Are you effing stupid?"
The answer is yes.
Yes.
I mean,
it's like with every creative endeavor, you have to kind of, if you're doing a collaborative effort, you have to push it to the edge of what artistically you're able to do, with kind of what Zack did with the Wonder Woman concept of her cutting heads off and being an Amazon, like a warrior with all this kind of rich history of, of wars and battles and everything. And then from there, it kind of gets watered down and it gets turned into something completely shit. So, sorry, Wonder Woman 84 fans, but it's true. When something gets so watered down and you have an executive going, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do this either. Then, this is what you get. You get something that doesn't, like, I don't connect personally to any of these projects at all. It's just very hard for me to kind of understand who these characters are outside of the IP because they look like,
So while we're talking on this stuff going on with Toby and Walter Hamada and everything there, we had Gal came through with an interview in Israel today or the last couple of days where she straight up said that all of the stuff just threatened her career. And of course, the internet blew up and everything came crashing down. And it is interesting to point out that while Ray's been saying this for a long time, the narrative around Ray is always, oh, he's a crybaby. He just went to say booyah. That's all he had to do. Nobody cares. Like, it's all that sort of thing. It is interesting to see that that's the way that the reaction happened. And then when Charisma Carpenter came forward and all the Buffy people, he was taken really seriously. And, they've backed up Ray a lot. And now same with, and then, Jason stepped up, same thing. Gal stepped up, same thing. But somehow every time Ray says it, he's just sooking because his part was cut. What do you guys think of that? I mean, I don't know where to place it. Is it just that maybe they think that because maybe it's a race thing, or maybe it's that they don't know him outside of that role. So
it's money talk like everything.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think it's limited. I think I think, it could be both of what you just said, both race and just look, unfortunately, the reality is with a lot of these, people that are giving Ray shit, like, they just view him as a nobody. Whereas Gal, she's been around for some time and she's been involved in a lot of franchises. Like, the reality is Gal is much more mainstream and well known. So for her to say something like that, it's obvious as to why she's getting the attention. Obviously, we believe Ray and everything and all the stuff he's been through, and obviously all the, the actors and actresses on Buffy, But yeah, I think it's one of those things, like, until Gal actually full came out, I think unfortunately it hadn't got the attention that it clearly should have a long time ago.
What annoys me though is the only reason that Gal or Jason or any of these guys have any of the leverage or power that they do have within the business is because they got their solo films. Wonder Woman, from what we got in Justice League alone, outside of the initial standalone, there wasn't much there that would, like, it didn't do anything for me personally. When I saw that to me didn't look like it would translate to any box office numbers. It was purely what the standalone accomplished. And for Ray to be robbed of his opportunity to have that, for his voice to, one day be heard, for his career to catapult, you got to remember, Jason didn't know where his next paycheck was coming from. Gal, was about to quit acting. Like, the standalones literally saved these people's careers and has catapulted them to whatever stardom that they have now. They owe it to this. And then now they're finally speaking out and using that voice for the right reason, trying to put a spotlight. It's 4 or 5 years later. Gal was happy to just kind of turn it around. I don't think she would have said anything if it wasn't for the efforts of Ray and everybody together, us campaigning for it to.
I would agree.
Come back.
I would agree, and I specifically say that because of how close to the chest she played it when she was asked about Ray's statements, and she said, "I'm happy for Ray to speak his truth." Or I'm happy that Ray's getting to speak his truth. I thought, oh, that was a weird, sort of a weird thing
It's always
to say.
a safe line. Yeah, everybody within the cast is like very curiously played it pretty safe. Like even Ben, who, you know, from what we know now, threatened to walk off and wanted everybody to walk off set and went through all these bullshit. It's almost like he obviously didn't want to revisit any of that shit because it probably just brings up a painful period in his life. Henry, for a long time, played very Switzerland on the whole situation, and then it wasn't up until the screening of Man of Steel that he was like, yeah, I reckon you should do it, and then congratulations, you got to do it. I want to see a version without my face being fucked up and whatnot.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of that, and you know, people have given Henry shit for not being too loud on that, but I also think like of everyone, it's like Ezra doesn't have social media, Ray doesn't care, Henry cares that he really wants to keep playing this role, and he was on thin ice with him. So I'm sort of not mad.
Let's be a gentleman about it.
Yeah. You know, I'm not mad at Henry for being quiet. You know, he was supportive of both sides, and you know, it's because he obviously wanted to continue the role. And you know, I think for that support, Warner Brothers has just been cunts to him, and you hate to see that. Like for example, news we got this week: Black Superman is Kal-El, and they announced that via the Hollywood Reporter on Henry's birthday. So that's very that's the level of respect that Warner Brothers has for their staff, let's say.
And you cannot tell me that was a coincidence. They had 364 other days to do that. You cannot tell me. I don't care who you are. You cannot tell me that was a coincidence. I'm dropping that.
Especially with the timing of all these articles, like Frosty the Snowman kind of article, was it's the proof in the pudding that these companies instantly react and try and shift control the narrative through money and ad spending and you know what things get pushed to what art. You know, it's really low for them to do that. And I got it at one point. I didn't think of it in this way up until, you know, a couple of days ago. Like, it's one thing to kind of, you know, race bend a character or kind of create a new one. Like, besides the fact that there are the Kal-El without the hyphen, there's so many different interpretations of Superman, and for them to kind of try and do this to the original Kal-El, you also have to remember that Zack did race bend Arthur Curry. For no reason, he could have made another character, another version of Aquaman with a different name.
Yeah.
Maybe he tried to modernize it. Maybe Warner Brothers thinks that doing this modernizes Superman. I just think that that's one thing, but they're approaching this in a completely...
I think Superman and Aquaman are two different characters, though, that's with different levels of public awareness. It's like the way he made the Flash, you know, Jewish with dark hair instead of blonde, you know, a blonde white guy. Like, he's gone, okay, this makes sense for this version of the character. This makes sense for this version of the character. You look at Aquaman, like, for him to be Hawaiian makes sense. But in saying that, like, you look at, I think Clark is a different one, and I think Michael B. Jordan stating that some characters shouldn't be race bent was an interesting point because they are that iconic. Now, again, I don't necessarily have a lot of issue with Clark being black. I don't have an issue with them doing that. The issue I have with it is that it's doing it specifically to remove Cavill. And it's like, you've got this Superman that you haven't, that the public very much likes, that you haven't utilized exactly, and now you're going, here's a diversity option. Now, again, you have the option to go, we've got Clark Kent and we've got Calvin Ellis or Val Zod. We've got all these different versions of Superman that you could have done, but you specifically chose to go, if we just bring in a black Superman who's Clark Kent, we can erase the previous Clark Kent and nobody will think about him again. But I'm telling you right now, every time we come into the studio to do something like this, I'm going to be looking here and going, what the fuck are Warner Brothers doing?
This is the same situation and it's the same kind of thinking that the executives that thought Batman vs Superman was going to equal instant $2 billion success in the box office just because of the IP. And you think, oh, look, yes, we have a million different cool characters that are, different ethnicities within the comics and everything, but they're not Superman. And what would it do in today's climate? Would it stir up some controversy? Would it rally people to kind of go and watch it? It's Superman and it's a black character and it's like the main one. So obviously that's got to do what Black Panther did. And it's like, you can't follow up what something's already been done and expect it to do better. It's never going to happen.
Ironically, they could have had that by just releasing Zack Snyder's Justice League to begin with and having Cyborg get his story. They had that. They had it. And they cut it.
Everybody raves about how great Ant-Man is and everything. We could have had that with the Atom.
Yeah,
we could have had
exactly.
In China.
And Chinese representation. Now we got Shang-Chi. It's like, multiverse. Oh yeah, we were doing the Flash in 2018. 4 years later, we get the film, introduce the multiverse, and Marvel beats you to it by 6 months. This is exactly what we're talking about with Toby playing defensive. He's like, let's just wait and see what the other team does, and if they're doing it, it's a good idea. If they're not doing it, let's scrap it or maybe revisit it when they do it. Like, it's just dumb.
It's bizarre.
Dumb business. And I'll tell you right now, it's probably, and I could say this, though I'm not a CEO of Netflix, I can say this with a lot of confidence. It's that stupidity, which is why Netflix said, nah, we don't want you, Toby. You're a piece of shit. And I'm so glad that Ray came out and said, I don't care where he goes. I will be shining light on the way he treats people. And I love that.
You can't run. You can't
exactly.
Run.
This just pisses me off. Zach, we got Zach in the comments there. This just pisses me off. And I got to say, I don't know if you can tell by our demeanor, but the chat's getting quite negative right now. So let's lift it. Obviously, actually, this isn't really going to lift it. We've got Ash is going to read this statement made by Zach earlier in the week. I think it was yesterday, about how they are, anti-Zack-sers or very anti-Snyder.
Indeed. So just some quick context. So he was on Jake's Takes, and pretty much he was asking him a bit about, obviously Army of the Dead, and he mentioned to them, look, clearly since the release of the Snyder Cut, it seems Warner Brothers have kind of, thrown you. They're just not interested in your thing. And I'm just, they pretty much asked him, like, Zach, how can we be hopeful? And Zach said this to him. I'm just going to get my Snyder voice ready. Okay, so this is what Zach said in response to that. I would think about it this way. Yes, Warner Brothers has been aggressively anti-Snyder, if you will, and that's, what can you say? What can I say? Clearly they're not interested in my take, but I would also say that they certainly weren't interested in my take on Justice League. They certainly made decisions about that. And I love the characters. I love the worlds. I think it's an amazing place to make a movie. It's glorious IP, so there's that. I don't know what could be done as you go forward, other than I think the fan movement is so strong and the fan community is the intention is so pure. I really have huge respect for it. I would hope that cooler heads would prevail with Warner Brothers and they would see that this massive fandom that wants more of that, but who knows what they'll do. Some pretty encouraging words from Zach. I really, I
felt that too.
Is he knows how to, I think, keep the fan movement alive. With a negative, there's almost like two positives thrown our way.
100%. And he's not wrong. And you look at it like, is it worth giving up? he's not wrong though. They weren't interested before. They're not interested now, but we made them interested. Oh well, we didn't make them interested. We just made them give in, and that's all that needs to happen. It's the same sort of thing. Now, granted, I think it's a harder task, but I also think we're over a hurdle now. So we may have a little further to go, or it might be the next jump might be a little higher, but we're over one. We're already on the way. I think the support has definitely gotten bigger since the film's release as well.
Yeah, once you do it once and a studio bends and you accomplish what was just done, then it just opens the doorway for it to happen again. There was no let's give up hope. The guy's definitely in conversations. He has to be. Remember when we did 1.5 million a day and people were like, boss, like this something has to happen, right? Like
the right people have to hear it. Yeah.
Surely the right people. And he was like, yeah, they will. They have to. There's no denying what was accomplished. When you look at the fan demand, and if all Warner Brothers is doing is taking a look at the market and reacting, for them to have these blinders on and not see what was just done and continue doing whatever they're doing.
It's not blinders. It's actively working against it, and that's the issue. The issue isn't because any marketing person who stepped in, you get any other person in the role to look at the numbers, and all that they would say is, oh, well, there's clearly a fan base here. We can make money off this. Every other studio in the world has IP that people are talking about, and they'll greenlight a movie on it. It doesn't take much.
It's not the time to start getting aggressive or kind of start tweeting Jason Keeler a million times a day going, hey, I thought you were going to change things. Why haven't you done anything yet?
Agreed.
These things take time. And, like even Henry and like all these actors that, were campaigning for it at the same time, you got to be diplomatic in your approach with it as well. So, it has to be done the right way. The right people have to make the right decisions, and the wrong ones need to, the truth needs to come out slowly but surely. Like Ray did it 6-7 months ago, almost last year now. And now this thing with Gal just came out, which is, it's getting the wheels turning. And every day these things come to light, and there's just nowhere else for them to hide anymore.
100%.
It's important to also just add as well, probably you could argue this could be one of the most important things that Zack has recently said in regards to it would have clearly been more likely for us to get literally Justice League 2 than it was for us to ever get the Snyder Cut released in the first place.
Yeah.
So the fact that you could
do it.
Exactly. So in a way, even though obviously nothing's really happened since, 100% what you said, Tony, it's not going to happen overnight. We've got to keep at it. Our foot's already in the door. And now more than ever, the ball is very much in Warner Brothers' court. And I just wanted to quickly bring up with you guys your thoughts on the latest with that Justice League 4K trailer dislike ratio. Last I checked, it was about, I'm pretty sure it's at 130K dislikes at this point.
Yeah.
It cracked 100K, yeah.
I mean, I think for me, my thought is it's a very loud and obvious statement. It was an obvious statement from Warner Brothers. It was done very specifically because did they not drop that the same day as the Army of the Dead trailer or something like that? Like it was something alongside that. And I think it's definitely
childish, man.
It's stupid. It's very childish. But I think it's very much also a testament to us that we've sort of said, hey, this isn't on. And, slammed it with dislikes because, again, they know how we feel about that film. They know how we feel about it.
Like, if they're releasing this as a physical copy, am I correct? That's what they're doing? They're releasing it as a steelbook?
But it's already out. It's already out.
They didn't specify. Copy of it. They literally just said it's own it on 4K.
They reposted an old trailer.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that some of the footage that was in the trailer was not in the film. It was only in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So my thought on it was that they're trying to use it as a way to cash in the way that they're like, hey, go and buy this film by mistake which is the same thing that happened on iTunes. Same thing. People wanted to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. They typed in Justice League, or they typed in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It brings up Justice League, directed by Zack Snyder. And that's why when the Snyder Cut was the #1 viewed thing on iTunes and Google Play Movies, Justice League was like in the top 50 because people kept buying it by mistake. So all they're trying to do is go, see, this is the latest. This is the latest thing. So then people will go, oh, cool. They'll go and buy it, thinking that it's Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then accidentally spend their money. It's just disgusting business, and that's 100% what they're doing.
Speaking of, just real quick, it's important to note they actually finally corrected their shitty review swap they did with the Snyder Cut and Justice League.
Good.
They have finally corrected that. So what they did, just for anyone watching that wasn't aware, about a week or so ago, if you search Zack Snyder's Justice League, it literally displays the shitty Justice League reviews. I'm talking Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. I think it's got 40% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. And so then
in the
Justice
Google
League,
the knowledge panel. So when you Google something and the knowledge panel comes up and tells you about it, it said Zack Snyder's Justice League. It had everything, and this was changed, mind you. It wasn't like that the week before. It brought up the 40% and the 40% on Rotten Tomatoes and all of that.
Yeah.
So now it's good to say. I've just searched it. It has gone back. We've got 8.1 on IMDb. 85% of users like this film. I'm going to go like it there.
All right. So, can you tell me though, why is it that
audience rating 4.7?
Is it that millions of people around the world all have tinfoil hats on, or is the fact that DC fandom a year ago trailer got leaked before the event? You know, the movie got put onto Sonic.
Both
or
trailers got leaked early.
Both trailers got leaked. You know, the Joker stuff got leaked. The what was it? The movie got put onto HBO Max under a different title. What
Tom and Jerry.
Whatever. Tom and Jerry. Like, how many times does the movie have to be leaked, sabotaged, and misinterpreted? And now even little things like this, it's all got to do with controlling the narrative through whatever ad you see first, whatever blogger's article gets pushed first. It's like nothing matters until the Hollywood Reporter or one of these other articles come out, even though it's been spammed around and people have spoken. Why do you need Joe Blow writing an article quoting you? Just listen to the quote, listen to the people. Like, it's, you know, these bloggers don't legitimize any of the claims that these people have.
And they must think we're so stupid as well, which is utterly ridiculous.
That's it. And I think, you know, but you do have those, and I think this is where it's come in, you know, like I think it's a very political driven move to specifically, like Ferran Sanoff, for example, when she did that the day after or a couple of days after Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, for her to come out and call the Zack Snyder's Justice League fans toxic fandom, it's a very political move, because all it does is it is an attempt to delegitimize all of us by saying, all right, well, 25 people tried to tank Godzilla vs. Kong, which is all it was. It was less than 25 people who posted reviews. So Stephen Colbert said that. I don't know whether it went on, but when she'd done it, it was 25 people who had done it, confirmed by Stephen Colbert, because I did ask him about it. And he'd said it was less than like 25 people. It was nothing. For her to look at the over 1.5 million, let's say, of the people that are tweeting about it and everything, look at 25 and say, yeah, they're a toxic fandom. All that does is it's a way to then say and feed into it. You know, it's the way for them to just go, okay, well, I've just labeled these people. Now, anybody outside of them and us looks at them and they're the villains. They're the villains.
If anything,
Enosh, good to see you. And he's very correct. It's 5 movies and it's not a trilogy, which, you know, the completion of Zack Snyder, and that's another trailer that was, I really liked that trailer. I was like, oh, this is a really cool trailer. And then it's like the completion of his trilogy. And I was like, you know what? This trailer could go in the bin. This trailer can piss off.
Every fandom has its toxic peeps. Oh, so I was going to say, every fandom has its toxic peeps, man. Remember not too long ago when people were sending death threats to Wyatt Russell's way over the Captain America stuff?
Disney didn't call them toxic fandom.
No.
Every person who likes the Marvel movies.
Where do we start with the fandom menace in Disney? Where do we start with that? Far out. You could argue they're way worse
Jar
than
Jar
the
Binks almost killing himself because of all the people.
Oh,
it's
just
sad
Hollywood for you. Yeah.
The kid who played Anakin quitting acting and going off the rails. Like there's a lot of that.
That's such a launch pad for such talent, and it's just because of fan reaction or like a select few, a noisy select few that can't control and get to dictate the narrative, and it's so bullshit. We all have voices now.
But that's exactly right, and I think that's it. That is the point, though. The point is that she did it specifically knowing that if I can label this group of people, then anyone who's in the general audience will look at it and go, well, obviously that Warner Brothers is telling the truth. They're a big studio. What would they have to lose? Obviously, they want to gain money. So this group of people must be toxic. But we know that they
walked away from them in the last year because they don't want anything to do with
exactly.
them.
So it was very much a political based move to slam us. And
if what you say at that point was only 25 people on a review thing, and that it just proves the point that this thing was written beforehand. Like it was written,
which we knew was going to happen
in advance.
Yep.
It was
and also the fact that and also the fact isn't it interesting that ever since then we haven't had any direct, articles or like direct. I mean, like say from a sign off about it. I find that quite interesting.
Momentum slow because we're shifting into a new little period now where things are in production, and it's just like they're trying to get through it without any controversy. Like all the disputes about Michael Keaton not even knowing if he was going to be on The Flash, and then all of a sudden they pop up in the mansion that they're on set filming. It's like there's a bunch of shit going on, and decisions and things are flip-flopping from grey area to not so quickly. So that's why I think it's been a little bit quiet. It's just trying to keep shit under control without letting actors talk and then creating more controversy. They're just trying to keep everything very airtight right now. Even with Ezra being involved in that little thing with fan, we don't know, no context, but no words on it, no repercussions, no nothing. It's just all airtight because money's on the line. So right now, it's everybody's ass on the line if they have one more failure. So, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just I think we could go on about this every week. It's draining to know that, but you're right. We are in a new section. They're in a new section. They're trying to move on. I don't think personally they're not going to be able to stop us. They cannot slow us down, and they will eventually realize that that's the case. Like, for me, I look at it like, okay, well, if you were to complete these stories, like give us Batfleck's film, give us the JL2 and 3, and then reboot, because that's what Zack wanted to do. Zack wanted to do it Flashpoint reboot. There is nothing. I feel like at this point, if they were having a discussion and saying, hey, in the timeline, the Flash is set at the end of Zack's Justice League films. And then they gave us the 2 Justice League films so that even though it came beforehand, it's like Black Widow, people work out where it fits in the timeline. Then it all works. It ends up being the Justice League films. We get the reboot, and then you do what you want. Restore the Snyderverse trends literally every single day. I was in a discussion with someone on who works for Twitter today, who was saying that Twitter trends don't tend to happen more than once. So if a hashtag has trended, Twitter looks at that and goes, okay, well, we want to make sure that a new hashtag is trending instead of the previous one that has already trended. So they're very cautious
against all analytical data, against all kind of things,
which I thought was interesting, because I was like, restore the Snyderverse and release the Snyder Cut trended like every day damn day.
Like you said before, you chop the head off and a whole bunch more appear. I feel like that's what happened once we got all these bullshit fan reviews about whatever it was we got saying Batman vs Superman wasn't, whatever it was, and there's no more controlling the narrative. We're a vocal market. We're not the minority anymore. We're the general consensus, and you can't. When it's like we're organized. We do this stuff every week, or, every day. We're on active. We're quoting things, and it's all positive, and it's
And I think, as I've said in the past, and we all know it, until Army of the Dead happens, we're not getting anything from anyone, really. It's focused on Army of the Dead. But I also think Army of the Dead may be some sort of key, because I think that what Warner Brothers thinks is that, well, this is the properties that these people like. So if we just make a new Black Superman, or we just do another Wonder Woman film, it's the same reaction. It doesn't matter what we do, because they just like DC. And I think Army of the Dead doing well will prove to Warner Brothers that it's not just the case. It's not just you can throw whatever shit you want at the wall if it comes from DC Comics and it will do well. It's no, these people are actually fans of the director who you shut out. Like I actually had some analytics just before we tie it up. I looked at it myself because I have a friend who is very much a fan of Christopher Nolan. I saw somebody on Twitter saying, "Can people stop standing Christopher Nolan? He literally beat Rihanna," which I thought was, which is a little.
How do you? How does that?
Yeah, how do you confuse those two?
What is that?
But anyway. I noticed that over 8 films for Warner Brothers, Christopher Nolan has earned them $4.9 billion. Over 5 films for Warner Brothers, Zack Snyder has earned them $3.6 billion. And these are 2 directors that they've basically shat on. Zack, we don't want you. Christopher Nolan, obviously, he is not that interested in working with Warner Brothers after their stunt with the 2021 slate. Now, they've pissed him off. He may not go back there, and I would 100% understand if he didn't. So it's worth noting that these... it's worth noting that these directors who are earning the studios massive amounts of money, the studios are going, we don't care, we don't want you. And then complaining about box office, it's got nothing to fucking do with box office. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, no,
you can use that as you can use that as a little this is a reasoning. It's not it. It's definitely egos. We know that, but we're gonna wrap it up there, boys. I gotta go, but more on this next week. It always falls to this, so I'm sure there'll be more on this next week. But next week we will be 3 days from Army of the Dead, so that is a good time. I don't know what you guys are planning. If you're going to want to do an Army of the Dead chat, I would very much like to do one. So maybe we get that organized, a breakdown of Army. Once we've seen it, maybe we do it off air and just release it. Does that sound good to you guys?
100%.
Absolutely.
I'll be watching it this time next week. Yeah.
You know what?
Next week is the premiere.
Why?
So looking forward to that.
Damn it, Tony.
Me reacting.
Can't wait.
No, that's awesome. So yeah, let's definitely do that. I'd love to see it in cinema, but hey, all good. You enjoy. We will chat. Wait, did you say this time next week?
Next on the 18th, yeah, I'll be watching it.
Oh, on the 18th. So
it's getting early access.
Yeah, the Tuesday. Right. So basically next week, Tony's going to jump in on his phone live from the premiere while he's taking snaps, just to join us here at the Ken Farm Podcast. All right, boys, we'll end it there. Thank you for joining, and we will chat next week.
See you there.
I've been ready from the jump. Tell me anything, but never tell me that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm on. You can bet I've been above. You can never see me like I'm John. Seen it with a song. Yeah, we kicking in the whip, boy, then boom, boom. Invisible a Bitcoin, but all around we taking over the world. I'm making her with the girl, head to tail like a flip coin. You You can take it how you want. I've been up having fun. Yeah, baby, this ain't a disjoint. I ain't famous, I'm a